One of the quick questions I just want to ask you on China, though, is clearly there's human rights issues. There's questions right now about this Chinese tennis player, Peng Shuai. There have been questions about Jack Ma. How do you think about that piece of it when it relates to investing there?
Well, I can't be an expert in those types of things. What I basically do, and for 50 years I invest all over the world, I look to whatever the rules are. If the government has a policy that I should do a certain thing and so on, but I can't be an expert in all of those particular dynamics of that. I really have no idea. So the guidance of the government is the most important thing. It's these are political. It's like, and then I look at the United States and I say, well, what's going on in the United States, and should I not invest in the United States because other things and not our own human rights issues or other things, and I'm not trying to make political comparisons. I'm basically just trying to follow the rules, understand what's going on, and invest properly.
But Ray, you recognize, I think that what's going on in the United States, and there are things that happen in the United States that I don't agree with, that I imagine you don't agree with, but I think that those things are different than some of the things we see happening in China. People aren't, the government isn't disappearing people, for example.
Okay. Look, you want to get into the policy of disappearing people. I'll give a little bit of a perspective of that, okay? What they have is an autocratic system. And one of the leaders described it. He said that the United States is a country of individuals and individualism. And that's what it's about. He said in China, it's an extension of the family. He said, if you look at the word country in China, it consists of two characters, state, family. And that has to do with Confucian. And it's very much a top-down. And as a top-down country, what they're doing is that it's that kind of like a strict parent. They behave like a strict parent. And they go through that. That is their approach. We have our approach. That's a question. The notion of whatever they're doing in terms of calling in people and then behaving in a certain way, that's their approach. If I picked that, evaluated all approaches around the world, in all countries, I'd be in a bind to try to find out, where do I invest and so on. It's just not my domain, and I'll leave it to the government to make those decisions. And that's my basic approach.